So greetings everyone. This is my favorite spot again in Arunachala, on the Arunachala hill. This is where I sit. Quite good shade here under this beautiful tree, huge tree. I came here without notice, so I don't expect most of you to be here online. But still, I had this urge to do this live right away. So I came online. Quite peaceful here as usual. Today morning it had rained. So this is a beautiful part of this beautiful hill. And I came and sat here and I thought, okay, let me do a short live video before I go for my lunch. So that's why I came online. I was contemplating a little bit on the Salambh and Nirlambh Yoga. I don't expect much of people today because I did not announce anything here. So I don't think. But anyways, I'm leaving this video recording behind so that you can just have a glimpse of it. This would explain a little more detail about the awareness that we talk about and how to stay away from the mind and why and how we get stuck in this mind. So I was contemplating again, sitting here in Arunachala again, a very beautiful place. This is a place I would really welcome all of you. I would really welcome from the bottom of my heart to come here. And this is not the first video that I've welcomed here. I don't remember any other place that I've welcomed people and urged people to come here many times. This is the place that I always tell all the spiritual seekers on any path should come here, must come here and experience the divinity, because only when you come here you can experience the divinity. It's a very beautiful place in all aspects, So greetings to all of you. Yeah, I didn't put a notice today, so I know most of you are not updated about this live. And I had no plans, but while I was sitting here, I thought, let me do this. Because I had some beautiful things going on in my mind, I thought I should share this with all you guys. It was all about the mind that I was contemplating here, because in the past few weeks, or past few days, or past few years also, I have been very much contemplating and reflecting deeply on the spiritual aspects, because I am someone who is constantly studying my progress and evolution. I have been very serious all these decades on the paths that I have followed, and with a very deep urge to evolve and liberate. My purpose also of coming into the spirituality was that. And there are many trial and errors that I did throughout all these decades of my spiritual practices. Went through so many things, learned so many things, unlearned so many things, and all that thing happened. And finally, I concluded, after looking and practicing and experiencing through multiple sources, that the real cause of everything is the mind. Until the mind is active, until the mind is present, it's very difficult to come out of it. Whichever practice, whichever philosophy we may follow, the root cause and the root foundation which we must pay attention to is the mind. Because if the mind is not eradicated, or efforts are not put to become aware or conscious of the mind or what the mind is up to, the games that the mind play, it's very difficult. Whatever practice we might do, it's very difficult, because even any practice, anything that we do, even if you do japa, you do tapa, you do sankirtan, you do meditation, you do anything, where and how is it done through? It is done through the mind. It all happens through the mind itself. There is no other place where all these things takes place. So until this particular platform is we become aware of this particular platform where all this havoc and all this cycle of repeated birth and death happens, the cause of which is the mind. So I have seen that, until you finally get to the root cause of everything, it's very difficult. We can remain stuck in a loop of multiple practices, whatever, even faiths, religious faiths, gods, deities, anything we might do. It will give us a little kind of an assurance, a short assurance for a short while, that okay, this works, this probably works, or this is giving a good feeling, or something good might happen through this. And that keeps us glued to that. But getting out of the birth and death cycle is another ball game. Now we might say, why get so serious about birth and death? What is it about birth and death? Why not just live a happy life and pass off our life, spiritually elevated or divinely elevated? That's all good. But even if you wish that, you must understand, you need karma only for that. Even to come back here or have a good life, you need karma. And where is the karma performed? It is performed in the mind. Where is it reaped? In the mind. It is all caused in the mind. It is reaped in the mind. Even if you want to eradicate all these things, the processes are again done in the mind. So the mind is the platform of everything. Whatever you do, the mind is the platform. And I have just referred to so many bilateral paths, bilateral philosophies, bilateral scriptures. I've been studying that. I've been putting a little effort and going deep to the root cause of all this, because I won't hesitate to say I have failed in multiple practices. I have done multiple practices as a practice, and most of it became a trial process because there were a lot of errors, trial and errors. And then I was curious as to why, if this is because none of the paths are not genuine. All are genuine. All the paths are genuine. All the scriptures are genuine. All work. So I was under the question that if all works, why is this not working with me? Or why is that not working with me? Especially when I am investing such kind of time and effort in a certain kind of practice, or a faith, or a theory, or a philosophy, or whatever. Why is the result not to the extent of liberation? It might give some kind of a satisfaction, some kind of a contentment, but it has always been temporary. So I have been seeking this. Why is it so temporary? Why have I felt blissful for a day, or a couple of hours, or even blissful for a couple of weeks, or maybe even months? But then why do I return to my state of a state where there is no bliss, or there is no contentment, there is no consistency? So my question has been that, why is not anything not giving a consistent kind of result and a consistent kind of evolution? So I have been searching and digging deep into everything, including all the practices that I have done through the years. While I am doing it, I have been simultaneously contemplating. And every time I saw that, anything I did was good. It elevated me, it gave me bliss, it gave me motivation, it gave me inspiration, it made me rejoice. But then for a particular time, then I stumbled back into the same old phase. Then again, to come back into that, I had to crawl, whichever practice I did again. So my question was, why am I stumbling back in the first question? Why do I have to tumble back? Then I have to put all these efforts and come back and all, because I can tell you, there are countless times where I have tumbled down and then put back efforts multiple times. So I was questioning all this time, why is that tumble happening? And not just me. I have seen people around me, my friends, my colleagues, and people who are on the path, all tumbling down, then again getting. And when they tumble down, then they need something again, or someone again, to help them put them back into that space. Most of the time I have seen it is very difficult to alone do it alone. And that is why we take the help of practices or any external things that are outside, the tools that are outside. We need something to hold on to. And that holding on to helps us evolve or come out of a situation. So there are many multiple practices, multiple faiths, all techniques are there, all methods are there. All are there to help humanity evolve. The people who want to evolve. They are all these practices which are designed by people who have already crossed those barriers. The great masters who crossed those barriers. So they gave these tools to the humanity. But again, I have seen, because I was looking into multiple masters again, all these years, and looking very deeply into every practice, or even if I cannot practice, I do not know the practice, I will be looking at the people who are following that practice. Very closely I have been observing. And I see they also stumble. Again and again. It's not just a stumble of one time or two times. They need the rope of something to keep them consistent. If not anything, they need the rope of faith or trust or surrender, whatever you call it. But there is still an element needed to keep you binded on the path or on that route. Something is needed. And I have seen most of the people, including me, clinging on to something in a desperate hope to get me out of it. Or in a desperate hope, if I fall tomorrow, something must be there to pull me out. So you can see most of these are based on fear. There is a fear of what might happen. There is a fear that today also if I am blissful and joyful, okay. Tomorrow if I am not. So I have a binding to something or to someone. Something or someone that can consistently motivate me, inspire me, or tell me, or pull me out of the muck when I am down. Are you seeing this? Now where is this all happening? This whole thing that I said, this fear-based, these insecurities that we have even on the path, that we cling on to person, things, places, to save us today or to save us tomorrow, an investment for tomorrow. It's all happening on the mind level. So there also while I was investigating, and finally when I came here 2 years back to Tiruvannamalai and fell in love with the teachings of Ramana Maharishi. So Bhagavan Ramana's words were very deep, and the contemplation, the reflections were direct to the source of the problem, the ego. Sir, directly, he said, don't wander anywhere else, don't think and don't focus on anything else. Just go to the source where all this is being created. And it is found it's the ego. Now the ego uses a tool, a beautiful tool, a very delicate tool called mind. And that is where the ego plays its whole drama, the mind. It uses the mind because the mind is the available thing of every human. That is the only available platform where this can be played. So the whole drama that you see about life, even when you are born, you become open to the circumstances around you. When you are alive, you are living through experiences. When you die, you have an experience. When you are, even after you leave the body, you still have experiences. Your experiences don't stop. You might not have a body, but the experiences are still there. The feelings are still there. The emotions are still there. It might be gross. It can be subtle. Something is there. And that is the mind. The mind body carries itself from birth to birth because it is the mind that is the cause of rebirth. If the mind was not there, we wouldn't have come back. As simple as that. Because the mind is there, there is some element now desiring to play another set of dramas. The life experience is nothing but a cosmic play. We all know that. Very easy to say that. Experientially, it might be very hard. But then when you go into deep reflection in places like this, you can see it very clearly. You cannot see it when you are in the world. Like, for example, if I am just thinking and reading a book and thinking, oh, what did Ramana say? And what is life? Is this all consciousness? Is this illusion? Is this Maya? And yeah, this is Maya. So if I go by philosophy and just try to make sense in the mind, I might get a mental picture or a mental imagination of things. But I will not have the first-hand experience of what is that Maya. Until we have an experience of this is truly an illusion, how can we believe it? Our subconscious, our deep unconscious mind will never grasp this. Our soul can never enhance this experience. And that is the reason why many of us cannot understand, though we relate to this philosophy called Maya or illusion or the cosmic play and all that, we might know theoretically, but we cannot relate to it. Because even if you believe, this is all about belief. So most of us just believe. Okay, that's a big faith, big difference when you believe something and when you know something. So when you believe that this is a cosmic play and it's an illusion, it's a Maya. And if you go on living, and if a bee stings you, you get pain. If you trip down and fall, you get pain. Anything happens to your body, you get pain. Anybody hurts you, you get pain. In the mind, body, or the emotions are pained. Anybody hits you, you are pained physically, mentally, emotionally. Where is Maya then? So when these things happen to us, all the theories and philosophies just break down. That is why I am saying it is important to have at least a moment of that experience, direct experience, that it's an illusion. When can that happen? When only you can still the cause of this drama, the platform of this drama, that's the mind. Because until this is still, you cannot see, you cannot oversee it. Because otherwise, whatever philosophy you do, whatever practice you do, you're still in the mind. You're doing that through the mind. So how can you see illusion through the mind which has caused that illusion? By being in the mind, you cannot understand illusion. To understand illusion or to understand the cosmic play or how the consciousness works, you got to retract back from the mind, because mind is the culprit. Mind is where all the drama is happening. So you cannot be one among them. You cannot be a spectator when you are an actor in there. You know? See, when a stage play is going on, there is some drama going on a stage. If you are involved in the play, you are an actor in the play and you are involved in it very soulfully, you would never know the whole thing as separate, because you are one in it. When you are in the drama, you will never know what drama is. To know what drama is, you will have to pull back and sit in the audience and watch it like a spectator. When you witness things from a distance, you see how it is all fake. You cannot know until you are involved in it. Because when you are involved in the play, you got to be damn serious about it. You have got to play it very well. But when you are looking as the witnesser, as the observer, when you observe it, you come to know. So that's the reflection that needs to be done, and this reflection can be only done when you are out of the play. When do we get out of the play? Technically speaking, out of the play means out of the mind. How can you get out of the mind? Only when you pause or still the mind. When and how can you pause the mind? Is it possible? Oh yeah, that is why the whole world is practicing meditation. Why? Because meditation, we are taught, the thoughts are the barriers, the obstacles. So the thoughts have to be removed. Thoughts are the cause of all our stress and worries and all the issues that's going on, including physical ailments, psychosomatic. Everything is the mind is the cause. But the problem is the world doesn't know how to get out of the mind. So many techniques have been induced in the mind itself, like meditation, for example. In meditation, you sit and you are told, don't pay heed to that thoughts. There are many thoughts coming, don't give attention to it. But how easy it is? How possible is that? When you close your eyes, how practical is it that you can be successful in not giving attention to those thoughts? Very difficult. Because how much ever you try, the thoughts are going to overpower you. Why? Because you are still in the play. That meditation also, there is a doer who's doing the meditation. Doer is the ego. And ego uses the mind. So the meditator is actually using the mind to keep away from the mind. It's very foolish. Not that it doesn't work, it does work. But what I'm talking to you is about consistency and having a first-hand experience of all these things. Meditation, I don't think that's possible. I've tried it myself. You might be able to still the mind in some way, but it's very difficult to observe the mind. Have we done that? In meditation, have we ever sat and gone into that mode where you are able to observe the thoughts? Not cut it out, not fight it out. Most of the systems tell about cutting out the thoughts. How? Don't pay attention to it. Don't pay attention to it. Whom are we telling not to pay attention? There is someone who even does not have to pay attention. That's the ego. That is the false I that is sitting there, the doer. The one who is doing the meditation is told not to engage in the thoughts or to battle with the thoughts, shoo away the thoughts. So, we are actually sitting and battling our own thoughts. That is what happens in most of our meditations. If you see, we come out exhausted saying that we are trying to shoo away the thoughts and it's so exhaustive. I am getting exhausted. I never went deep into meditation. Or we might fall asleep because in that battle, the mind gets tired and the mind goes to sleep. So we enjoy a good nap thinking it to be meditation. Where does meditation lead you? Have we ever asked this question? I was asking myself consistently. Okay, today I did meditation, tomorrow I did meditation, day after I did meditation, next month I did, next year I did. How long? And what am I seeing things changing from within as a meditator? I've most of the time seen, I've been satisfied that I did something. So I did my meditation. I found myself telling people, because people asked me when it became very ritualistic, oh, did you do your meditation today? I said, yes, I did my meditation today. Yesterday also I did. Day before I did not do. So I compensated. Or today I did not do, so tomorrow I am going to compensate. It's a very ritualistic process. Then somebody asks, have you done your meditation? This process has been going on for a long while, where I saw I did meditation. And it went even further. Who's that I who's saying I did meditation? The ego. So the ego claims that I, the doer, did meditation, feels pride in it. And then the pride extends to saying, I did 2 hours of meditation. Oh, today I did 3 hours of meditation. 4 hours. Yes, but what did you gain out of it? If not immediately, after 1 week, 1 month, 2 years, 10 years. That is where the question comes. What is beyond meditation? Nobody knows. Why? Nobody pondered about it. Nobody asked this question to anyone. What is beyond this meditation? Am I going to just do meditation all the time? Okay, I'm told I'll have peace of mind. I'll have this, I'll have that, I'll have this, I'll have that. And I probably get that also. Sometimes I get peace of mind. Sometimes I get some good results. Sometimes using that mind by going into meditation, I manifest also. That also is taught. How to manifest, how to create for yourself. Because to create, it's not easy. So there are multiple platforms which teach us how to create, how to materialize things. Why? Because it's very difficult for the world. Why it is difficult? Because the mind is overactive and the thoughts which are playing in this, like Rosalind said here, what we believe we become. What is that belief? It's the set of thoughts that this will happen. And that has to be very concrete. But most of the time what happens in our mind, there are hundreds of things running in the same direction or in opposite direction, different direction. Hundreds of different thoughts. That is why they don't materialize. So then there are platforms that teach us, now to materialize, my dear one, it does not work like this. You have to discipline your mind. Bring discipline to your mind by cutting out what is not needed and keeping only that is needed. So what is needed is what you are going to manifest. So focus on that which you need to create and just eradicate all. So in most of the practices, meditation is used as a tool to eradicate these things so that we can create. So you can see the drama is still going on. I am trying to go a little deeper than these things. Okay, deeper spirituality, practical spirituality. So the drama is still going on. The creation, the non-creation, the activity of eradicating something. So the mind is hyperactive there also. So the mind is used as a tool to generate more thoughts or more positive or a certain directional thoughts towards your goals, and then you focus on that and then you create. I am not talking about that. I am talking what beyond that. Is that the purpose of meditation? No, meditation takes you deep to your soul. How? And when? Nobody can answer this. If you can, please answer. How does it take you to your soul? And takes whom to your soul? Because I asked many these questions. What does meditation do? Oh, it helps me connect to myself. It helps me connect to myself. There are two people. Who is the me and who is the myself? Or it helps me go deep into my soul, connect with my soul. My soul? That means you are someone else and your soul is someone else. So you are trying to connect to your soul. Who is this you? Very confusing. So philosophically it's all very good to say, I feel I am doing this for my soul, I am enhancing my soul, I am evolving my soul. Then who are you? That's the catch. Who are you? Who's evolving the soul and who is the soul? So technically speaking, these all doesn't make any sense. Telling that I am connecting to my soul, then who are you? You are the soul. So now if you are the soul, can I say I the soul is connecting to my soul? No. Then if I am the soul, what is there to connect? There's no one else to connect. So if you say I am the one who's connecting to my soul, who is that one who's connecting to that soul? That is nothing but the ego consciousness, the false I. The one that believes that is something apart from the soul, or even the one that believes that he or she is the soul. There is an identity, there is a belief that is come. So that is why this hodgepodge, many are caught up in this kind of belief system where nobody questions. Places like this, Tirunamalai, and teachings, deep teachings of great mystics like Bhagavan Ramana, actually inspire you to go beyond, to deeply question this ego itself. It is even threatening, and it's challenging you to stand up and find out who is this one who is searching for yourself, who is this one searching your own soul. So when you find out that the one who is searching the soul is the soul itself, the whole place revealed in front of you. So that takes an experience. That's what I'm trying to say. This cannot happen through philosophy. Even if you read Ramana Maharshi's texts, it's very beautiful. Or Nisargadatta Maharaj's I am that. You read and see. It's very good to have the feeling. It's very good to have the knowledge that I am pure consciousness. It is another idea. It is just a thought pattern that is again developing in your mind and telling you, I am that. What I am talking is the experience of it. The first hand experience of that text. Or the first hand of experience of saying, I am awareness. I am pure awareness. That can happen, dear ones, only with deep reflection. Deep reflection. And for that reflection, you need to create that space Even, see, in this also there is a catch. When I say you need to create a space, I am still talking to the false I. You need to create, you still need to be the doer, because Ramana said the same. There is a state of non-doership, which you are. You are the non-doer. But to realize that, a certain amount of doing will be needed. There is a state of effortlessness, spontaneous effortlessness, where everything spontaneously happens. But to reach that state of effortlessness also, in the start, there is some effort needed. That's what I'm talking about. When I say we need to create a space where spontaneously I can go, the false I, the ego, can sink into that kind of an experience or dissolve itself, at least temporarily, at least for a moment, at least for a few seconds or minutes. Sink into that philosophy and have a first-hand experience, even if it is a glimpse of it. That glimpse is very precious, mind you, my dear ones. That's what gave me the breakthrough here, a couple of years back when I came here. Because yes, philosophically I knew everything, but that experience of that reflection happened only when I could reflect. And Tirunamala is that place where I could reflect. Because this place, like someone said here, Rosalind said here, Tirunamala, the mountain will take you beyond the mind. Very true. This hill, dear one, this hill is known to be the hill of fire. The Manipur Chakra. Manipur Chakra, the Agni Tattva, the fire element. Fire. Symbolic representation of ego. So the fire also represents the burning out of the ego, the false I. This hill is very popularly known to burn the false I. This hill is known to be the destroyer of ego. Now, generally when we talk about ego, people just say the pride, here he is a very egoistic person. Oh, she is so egoistic. Oh, he has so much of ego. That's ego playing its... I'm not talking about those aspects. Those are representations. There is in a very different form, like pride. I am having pride about myself. I am so. Do you know who am I? Ramana says, find out who am I. One is the real I that goes and finds out who am I. It realizes that I am the real I. And the false I says, do you know who am I? So that's the prideful one. I'm not talking about that kind of ego. Those are outcomes of this egoistic, body. I am talking about this being itself, which is the representation of this ego. This false I, this identification, this personality, this building up of this personality, I'm talking about that. So when I say the hill is the destroyer of ego, it is the destroyer of that false personality or that false individuality or that false identity. That we call as I, that we believe to be I, which I am not. This hill is believe I can guarantee you it does work. I have seen how it peels off slowly, literally. The more you spend your time here, it does some kind of magic. I don't know how, but it works. Because, as you said here, rightly, this mountain forces you to drop your mind. Only when you drop your mind. I cannot say even drop your mind, because then there is somebody who is the dropper. I would say the mind dissolves here. That's a beautiful word to say. It just very effortlessly dissolves the more you are in this space, which I have not found. I've seen other places or where I live, I do my practices. Yes, it does work, but here it feels very effortless. I don't know what. That's the kind of consciousness that is built up here. So here I always say, even if you don't do any practice, don't be worried about doing anything. Just come here and live in awareness. That's all the practice that you need to do, because there is no doership here actually. That's the beautiful aspect of Tirunamalai, this hill also, Arunachala. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be here. I've done this live a couple of times where I explain the difference between doing and being. Being is what I'm talking about. Multiple times we have talked about it. We have done some, some practices also. We did it in the live sessions. And many of you who have done it have realized it, the difference between being and doing. So there is no doing here. You need not come and do any kind of practices here. I would say don't do anything here. Just be. Just be yourself. Just move around in the space. But don't give heed to the mind. If you move around here with the mind, nothing is going to happen. That is where your awareness is needed. You should be fully aware that your mind has to be. That is why I say don't come in groups here. Don't make it a picnic spot. Then it will not help, because when you are many, you end up interacting, chatting, talking, and so many other worldly things that are going on in the mind. It will not really help. It might give you some good feeling, goody feeling. Yeah, it's a nice place. But it will not give you the experience that it is supposed to, that it actually promises. Ramana's place, Ramanashram, promises that kind of a place, of an experience. But only when you apply the principles. The principles are, you have to be fully conscious and fully aware that you have to drop the mind. That is what I meant by Nirlambh and Salambh Yoga. We know all kind of yogas, but these definitions of yoga was given by none other than Lord Shiva himself. Devika Lottara, I gave a full definition of the scripture out there. Salambha means dependency, a support. Nirlambha means no support, no dependency. If you got to be on the path of liberation, this should be very clear to us. You have to become Nirlambha. You cannot be in a state of Salambha. Salambha means you are holding on, clinging on to something. I started this video explaining how we cling on to a practice or an external thing or a technique or a person or a path or a philosophy or a faith or some kind of a belief. It's all clinging on to. This is Salambh Yoga. You are clinging on to something. Something is there for your support. Until something is there for your support, there is no chance of liberation. It's only good talks. It's only talks, because beyond self-realization, if you are going to a state of Jivan Mukta means the one who is Mukta, free of everything. Everything means literally everything. He is dependent on nothing. The Avadhuts are the best example, the mystics. What are they dependent on? I told you, Bhagavan Nityananda, Ramana Maharshi. They are not even dependent on their own loin cloth, a piece of cloth that they covered their body, which if not covered is considered to be indecent in this world. They have lost even that attachment to that, because they are not even holding on to their loin cloths. Forget anything else. Because when they say, I am not attached to my body, they have never been attached to their bodies. They were never in their bodies. They never owned their bodies. They never even called it my body. Bhagavan always said, this one. He referred always, this one says this. Never said, I. Or he says, this body, this person. He is referring it to some other entity, because he is not owning even the body or the identity that the body carries. Even when the mystics move around, they have an identity. Like Ramana Maharshi, he had an identity of Bhagavan. Bhagavan means God. Bhagavan Nityananda. They never even held on to that title, because they had no identity, no personality at all. That is Nirlambha. No dependency, no holding on to anything. You can't hold on to even Forget not holding on to attachment or anything. You can't even hold on to the idea that you know something or you are something, or even you don't know something. Even that is absent. That is Nirlambh Yoga, which Lord Shiva says to Devi Parvati in Devi Kalotra. He says to go to that state where you don't have to hold on to anything. And what is the world teaching? You look deeply. The world is only teaching you to cling on something or the other. The world emphasizes more on cling on to this, because if this is there, you are there. Who is this and who are you? If this is there, you are there. If this is given to you, who is that you that they are referring to? The ego consciousness, the false I. You hold on to this, so you will exist. You will live. You will be a spiritual being. You will be successful. Who? The ego. The false I. So the emphasis is that if you have this, you are there, you are alive, otherwise you are gone. And nobody wants to go. Everybody wants to have that identity, that personality, that existence, that I am there. That is why this path is so scary. Nobody goes deeper beyond a certain layer. Because it's very scary. There, you got to loosen up yourself. You got to lose yourself. Who's ready to give up themselves? Nobody. Because all our practices, even spirituality, also there is an identity. We want to carry that identity and be successful there also. There is someone which claims to be successful. There is someone that claims to be spiritual. Nirlambha means giving up even that. Even the practices that Lord Shiva advises in that. Even the practices, because the word practice itself is a dependency. The moment there is a word called practice, there is a doer. Isn't it? See how simple it is. The moment you have a practice, there has to be a doer. Nirlambha Yoga says no to that. Lord Shiva says not even that. See, the practice, you catch any practice. What are you going to do? You do meditation. Meditation is a practice. Salambh Yoga. You are holding on to meditation. Japa, you are chanting a mantra. Mantra is Salambh Yoga because you are catching on to something. Depending on something, you need the support of a mantra. Nirlambha Yoga is giving up the mantra also. Then there is Guru, the master, the physical body. Clinging on to the master, the physical body. Salambh Yoga. Nirlambha means not even clinging on to any, no affinity of any kind of clinging. No holding on to, no attachment to the physical body. Attachment means Salambh Yoga. Dependency, clinging on to a support system. Nirlambha Yoga is letting loose of that clutching also, unclutching from there. Forget physical. See how deep it is. How deep. It's not what it seems to us. Spirituality is not what seems to us. It's very simple, but it's very deep, very profound. See, the Guru's physical body attachment, forget, it's so difficult. Because until we see the Guru, we are with the Guru, we cannot believe that something is happening. Because even that exchange of grace or exchange of blessing also, the ego wants to be, fructified. It wants that feeling, that guarantee that there is something that is doing something. Something that is doing something. That means someone is receiving from someone. That I-ness is still there. That duality is still there. That clinging is still there. That is very difficult. Somehow I was able to go beyond it over a couple of years. That kind of a dependency. But then Nirlambha Yoga, that Devika Lotra Sutra, the scripture where Lord Shiva explains, it is not still satisfied by that. Because the seeker says, no, now I don't depend on the physical aspect of the Guru. Then what? I just have an image in my heart. Very good. These are all good practices. I am not discarding any practices. But Nirlambh Yoga says, no, that is still Salambh Yoga. Because there is an image that you are clinging on to. The image also is clinging on to Salambh Yoga. Nirlambh Yoga, letting go of the image also. How do you let go? Then what is remaining? Yes, what is remaining? Who is the one who is asking that what is remaining? That one has to dissolve. The one who asks what is remaining. If everything goes, I am alone. You are alone because that one identity is there. Identity means you are separate from the universe. That's what the scriptures try to tell. This is very interesting when you reflect on it. I am able to even probably convey it properly sitting on this hill. Here I feel very easily to convey anything. This is so effortless here. Because these are all the words of Lord Shiva himself. And this hill is none other than Lord Shiva. I am not saying because I am sitting here, anyone come here and you experience it. It happens. Spontaneous things will happen. Not a big deal that I am sitting here and doing a live. I am just trying to give an example of the possibilities here. So any kind, even mantra, the japa, even thoughts, even the practice of reflection. Like for example, who am I? It's a practice again. It's a dependency. Can you see the level of giving up of things? At that state only, the scriptures and the mystics say, is the time you will realize yourself, because that identity is gone and only the self is existing, and that self is again not a separate self. That self is none other than God himself, the creator himself, the supreme himself, the same consciousness. That time it realizes that oneness, and that time there is no divisions, it's all one. If it is all one, what is there to cling on to? That state. There's nothing else to hold on to, because I am that. That which I want to hold as mine, I am that itself. Then how can a holder be there, and how can an object be there? I see how interesting it is. This, I am telling you day once, until this goes very deep into your experience, this is what I have understood it, but you must reflect on it. And if you are unable to reflect on it, come here to this hill. Spend some time, at least minimum 3 days, in silence. I am talking very serious here. I am not talking about that goody-goody spirituality. You come here, you move around, there is energy, lot of energy. Because when you come with that, there is energy here, you come with an identity that I am going to take that energy. And the taker will always be selfish, because you go into that selfish mode. The doer will always go into the selfish mode. Whereas the idea is just the opposite. I don't know if you are understanding how deep this thing is. If you are in a state of awareness right now and listening, you will be able to understand it. If you are analyzing things, the mind will play different games. That's what I'm saying. This state of consciousness, or this deep reflection of life, this deep truth of life, can be only realized by awareness, which is not the mind. It cannot be realized with the mind. Mind might understand it. Mind might understand the philosophy. Like right now, I'm telling, I get that. I get what you're trying to say, I get that. When you say, I get what you're trying to say, who's that I? Who's the one who's getting it? The doer. It should be very spontaneous otherwise. There should be no feeling of even I get that. It is an experience. It's a direct experience. Something is being told there, and I am having an experience of it. And there is no one to even say, wow, I get that. See, so deep it is. This depth, I could only find it in Ramana Ashram. Probably this great mystics consciousness named Ramana. Because he lived, what I'm trying to say, he lived this. I am not yet living it. I'm just a practitioner. Because what I get glimpses of, I have a conviction. Oh yes, this is it. And that is what I try to say, because even if I'm making videos, there has to be an doer here. Okay, it's still the ego that's doing a lot of things here. It's not that complete. What I'm trying to say is, that mystic lived in that state what we are talking about. That complete oneness, spirit, that self, in the pure self. He was abiding in the self. And whenever he spoke a few words, only then, forcefully, he had to use the mind. There was no other option for him, but he had to use this tool called mind. Because without the mind you can't speak. Mind is ego. So if I have to speak now, I have to use my mind. I cannot say I'm mindless, I don't have mind, and talk. The moment I talk, that means there are thoughts in my mind. Only if there are thoughts in my mind, I can talk. So what does that mean when Ramana talked? Bhagavan Nityananda talked. They talked very less. They were people of silence. Most of the time they never talked. When they never talked, they were in that complete state of nirguna. That oneness, non-dual. Whenever they had to talk, they had to become dual, because there is a speaker and there is a listener. So does it mean they had ego? No. How is that possible? Somebody asked me once, very beautiful. Somebody who is very intelligent and very conscious on these points only can ask such kind of deep questions. They asked, if Ramana is speaking and if he is talking, that means he has thoughts. If he has thought, then there is an I. Because only the doer can have thoughts. And if he is a doer, then what he is telling, how can it be true of non-doership? He is still doing something. Very deep question. The answer is that these mystics use the mind as a tool, not the originator. We originate things in our mind. We think. We are the thinkers. They don't think. So, they don't operate by the mind. They operate through the mind. So, whenever they have to convey something, it is not by their mind, it is through their mind. So it is consciousness just moving itself out of that, using this mind as a tool with no doership. But if it is by the mind, that means the mind is creating something and speaking something. Like I am speaking. What I speak is right now from my mind, but I am giving glimpses of my experiences. I am trying to connect this through doership, if you are getting this right. The originator of these thoughts is from my mind. There are moments during my life where I fluctuate. I have seen that. There is a doer, suddenly it goes into a non-doer. And there is a doer, there is again a non-doer. It keeps on swinging. That is because I am not yet fully established in the practice. But I can see the difference. There are moments when I don't know what I am talking during the lives that I do. Sometimes I don't know. I am not aware, because even if I, just after the session, if I rewind back and look into I will not even have a memory of when did I say all this. Absolutely no idea. That is that state when it is happening through the mind and not the mind, by the mind. When it happens by the mind, you know there is memory to it. There is memory that I said this. I hope I am able to explain. This is the only way I can explain, through my own experiences. I am sharing this with you all to give you a clear-cut idea of my life experiences and how I am moving through this path called spirituality. That is why I refer to spirituality as a pathless path. Pathless path, Salambh, holding on to something. Pathless, Nirlambh, giving up on that. So, this has to be there, deep. See, even when we use words, you have to be very aware. very conscious of what you have to not even spare yourself. Huh? I have this habit, I don't spare myself. Even if my mind is talking or if my awareness is seeing something, I still go deeper. Like when I use the word pathless path. Is that Nirlambh? No. My awareness said that no. When you say pathless, it is Nirlambh. But when you say pathless path, that path has become another path of non-doership. A path of non-doership. It is again a practice, another path. Salambh. See how interesting it is. So for ideology, it is good to explain the pathless path. That is why many evolved souls use the terminology as pathless land. Not wanting to, again, when you are saying pathless, then how can you add a path to it? When you are already saying pathless, then why pathless path? So they use pathless land. But again, if you go in awareness, you will see even that land is something that you can still hold on to. But these are just ideas. These are good enough. This is not to prove anybody right or wrong or myself right and wrong when I am thinking on myself. This is just to become aware of how all this is not true. So can you see when Lord Shiva is explaining this? Salambha, anything that you hold on to, anything that is holding on to is not true. Anything that you hold on to in life, it is not true. What is the definition of not true? Not real. He says nothing is real. Everything is Maya, including all this. Practices, techniques, this, that. Salambh Yoga. All Maya. They exist until your mind exists. They are all good tools for the mind to play with. The mind keeps playing with all these tools. That is why the mystics have no path. Can you see that? No mystics like Avduts will claim I am a Hindu, I am a Parsi, I am a Jain, I am a Sufi. They never say that. People might say because he or she was born in a certain community, they are identified by that. But they have no identity of their own. They never call I have never seen any Avdut saying I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian, I come from this parent. No way at all. See Ramana's text, see Bhagavan Nityananda, see Nisargadatta Maharaj. Look at any of them. They might wear a certain clothes, they might even put a tika or something related to something. That is because they are bound by the environment that they live in. Ramana, somebody came and asked, do you need asana under your body? Not asana. Those days it was tiger skin or deer skin. So do you need an animal skin to protect you? Ramana said, even if you don't have a skin under your body, it is not that the earth is going to absorb you or your energies and all that. It is all there till the mind exists. Once you become one with it, there is nothing. What is the difference between you and the earth and all that stuff? So he was pointing from that point of view. But then he can be seen sitting on a tiger skin. Somebody asked me, you just said this, but he is himself sitting on a tiger skin. They are bound by the environment. People make arrangements for them. They live. People made a hut for him. He lived. People made a building for Bhagavan Nityananda. He lived. He never told them do this, don't do that. He was never identified this is my building. Or even if you see Ramana Ashram's documents where I was seeing, where people asked Ramana, you talk about non-attachment but you have ashram. He says this is not mine. People created it around me. I never invited people here. I was hiding in these caves and stones here, in these rocks. This was my home. I left everything and came, but people never left me alone. They came and started building things around me. So it's okay. I am there, but I am not bound by anything. And he says, if I don't feel like here, I will walk away from this place, which you called as ashram. Nothing belongs to me. There are caretakers who are doing all this for the benefit they feel they are doing. It's all they are doing. It's all fine. Because he was never a person who said, I am here to serve the world. I am here to save the world. These mystics like these, who are completely out of the ego sense will never talk something about, I did this to the world, I served humanity, I protected someone, I helped someone, I am doing the upliftment of humanity or the plants or the animals or this and that, blah blah blah. Nobody will claim. Because the claimer is not there. Who is the claimer? It's the ego. There's no one to tell what I did. I did this, I did that. I donated this land, I donated that amount. That ego is absent. So there is no doership of anything. So they will not claim anything. I told you, forget the houses in which they lived. They never claimed as theirs. Even their clothes, that single loin cloth, langot which they had, that also they did not have possession. And the loin cloth on the body which it hung, that body also they never identified. They did so many miracles around. They touched people, people got healed. They saved life. Jesus Christ was one. Touched and blind people turned, could see. Dead people rose. Sai Baba did it. Nityanand Bhagwan did it. Ramana Maharishi did it. They all did it, but they didn't do it with an intent of doing something. It spontaneously happened to them. There also there is no doership. We feel they are doing. That is why we go and complain. Oh, Baba, you did it to that person, do it to me also. How come you did it to that person? How come you healed that person? Now heal me also. And that mystic will say, go away. They didn't do it. It happened through them. Grace happened through them. Why? That prarabdha of that person, if he has good merits and that prarabdha has that grace, he will attract that mystic or he will go to a mystic or such place. It is the prarabdha, the destiny of the person that does it. Not the mystic. This also Ramana has very clearly said. Very clearly said that all the saints take all the credit. See, such deep. Ramana said, all the gurus and all the saints and all the great siddhas, they take the credit. Rishis, they take the credit. When something happens through them, some miracle happens through them, they get the credit. He didn't say they take the credit, maybe, but they get the credit, Ramana said. And he said, no one does anything here. Because all these people who create miracles are non-doers. How can they do anything? They are in that state of non-doership. How can they be the doers? It happens through them. Then why it happens to one and doesn't happen? They are prarabdha. Their prarabdha brings them to such mysterious people or mystics or miracle makers where they get all these boons. And he says the saints get the credit. It is no one, they don't need your credit, nor the credit can be accumulated to them. Because they didn't do it first of all. Credit can go only to the doer. How can you praise someone? Or how can someone take praises? How can you say thank you to someone? How can someone take thank you from someone? Only the doer can take thank you. When someone is saying thank you so much, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay when you say you have become the doer. It's the ego that has done the work there. Even the thanker's ego is thanking. It's all the play of duality, play of the mind. It's very deep if you contemplate. People of liberation will not get into all these facade. Who am I to thank anybody? Who am I to bless anybody? Can I bless anyone? I will be the most foolish person to think that I can bless you. We cannot bless. I never use that term, bless you. because I become the blesser. Who am I to become the blesser? मेरी औकात ही क्या है? What am I in this cosmic consciousness? It is someone else who does it. Why should I take the credit that I am blessing you? That is why we say, stay blessed. Stay blessed means we are no doership. Somebody who is blessing, take that blessing. Stay happy. Good. Very good. Stay blessed. Be blessed. Be happy. Are you seeing the catch of the ego? The ego can twist and turn itself into the most subtlest things and still make it sound very spiritual. Only if you are reflecting deeply on this, it will show you this also is nothing but ego. So till the ego is there, till the mind is there, Salambh Yoga only takes place. Only Salambh Yoga takes place. Good happens. I am not saying bad happens. Everything good happens. You get this, you get that, you get health, you get longevity, you get success, you get good relationships, you get peace, you get happiness, you get. So there is a getter. That getter is still the egoic one. The ego is still there. That getter will get everything, but the getter can never get liberation. Because to get liberation, the getter has to go. That is why Ramana said, how can you attain self-realization? Attain means there is an attainer, the ego. See the falseness of that. We don't see because all the time we are operating from the mind. Mind, it is very easy to get convinced by all this. Awareness never get convinced on this. Awareness is watching everything very deeply. Whoever says anything and whatever I take it, I receive it. Awareness is watching. It can see through all the loopholes which casually or gradually the mind cannot see. 90% of the population operate in the mind, they cannot see. Very difficult. That is why what the 90% believes becomes very popular. It becomes very true. It can be proved. It can be literally proved. What is proof? What is evidence? Who wants evidence? All ego. The play of ego. The prover, the one to be proved, or the one who wants the proof. All the play of the ego. Evidences. What is evidence? Where is this evidence? Where is all the documentation of the evidence, proofs? Where does it happen? In the mind. Awareness doesn't need this. Awareness is aware of the game of this evidence. It sees beyond it, through it. And that is why a person who is in the practice of awareness can never get caught up in any kind of things. Anything which requires a mind to do something or somebody's mind to tell something, it will not believe in it. It will penetrate through that, and the moment it penetrates, it can see. It will not judge. That's another thing. Because if you see something and then if you even judge it, then there is a judger again. That's the ego again. Here when I am comparing and when I am so-called exposing certain things of the mind, I am using judgment again. It's my ego. Are you getting that? But for the sake of this explanation, it is needed. What I am trying to say is, even all these aspects should be understood in awareness, and you should become aware of it. And when awareness sees all this play, this is called the cosmic play. This is called the drama. Even the spiritual dramas. Everything is a drama. It watches everything. It's aware of everything. It knows. So it will not get hooked on to new ideas, new things that appear in this world. And something new. Because, see, everything if you see in this world is old wine in a new bottle. I've been through all this. I've seen how old wine only is presented in new bottles. The one who is stuck in the bottles will be amused, will be caught in the bottle, will never see it is the same old wine in new bottles. Awareness sees it. Awareness catches it. So they are not amused, they are not surprised. The whole world might be, wow, something new has come into this world. Why is new things promised all the time and new things coming? Why are there versions? Version 1, version 2. There is never ending. It's all new updates all the time. Why? Because the mind loves new things. It cannot stick with old things. You see the mind? It loves new things. The same mind that loved a toy car once upon a time when it was a toddler has no interest in it when it grows up. Then it wants a tricycle. After some time, the tricycle, no interest, it needs a bicycle. Then it needs a bike. Then it needs a car. It always wants something new. So, the desires are upgraded. And the industry knows it very well, this desire and greed of a human, due to which all industries flourish. Different products. What is this cycle, tricycle, bike and this? It's nothing but desire, fulfillment of desire, that's all. But in various ways, various formats. One relationship, fed up. After some time, another relationship. After some time, another. Finally you say, I've got it, and then you get married. After married, somebody else's wife looks better, or somebody else's husband looks better. And then the thought comes, should I have waited? Why? The mind is never happy. The mind is never satisfied. It wants new things all the time. Change. It needs updated versions. Demand and supply begins there, my dear ones. The one who notices this in the population builds up an industry or a factory and then builds products which they call as demand and supply. Where is this demand? Demand comes from this new change. I need something new. This desire which man is not aware and conscious about. Unconsciously they are desiring new things. Who sees this? Only the investor, only the marketer, only the producer of the demand and supply. They can see this. So if you ask me, all the businesses and the business heads are aware people. They are fully conscious of what the people want. The cinema industry, they are fully conscious of what the people want. The news industry, they are fully conscious and aware of what the people want. They study the awareness of people through their awareness, through their consciousness. Good night, Rosaline. Through their consciousness they study. Constantly watching. What kind of films should be made? Demand and supply. The mind is craving for more. All industry is flourishing on that. All industries, including religious and spiritual. So new things come up, always new things. A person in awareness is watching the old wine in new bottles. It is all about how you market things. Marketing means what? What is marketing? Marketing is convincing this greedy mind. Here is something, I promise you something out of this. Here is something, and the greedy mind says, give me that. And the world pounces on it. That's demand and supply. Rare are those who can look through this whole cosmic drama. This needs reflection. So, tell me dear ones, if we cannot understand and cannot become conscious of this play of the mind that is happening at the gross worldly level, how we are not even aware of what is going on in this mind and the cosmic drama that the whole world is going on. How can we even go deeper into spirituality of understanding what drama is the ego up to playing through the mind? Very difficult. So if you need to go deeper, First, this awareness and consciousness needs to start from the conscious level, from the worldly level. It happens at the conscious level, at the gross level first, because only when you start seeing at the gross, then you will lose interest in the cosmic play of the world, gross world, and then enter into the real path, that is the inner path. You will lose interest in the outer and you will develop interest in the inner, because now everything, all the dramas becomes very clear to you. Once it's all open to you, it's the same old stuff repeating itself in different ways. You take your example and my example, for example. Why are you here with a body? Why am I here with a body? We are here playing the same drama in different bodies, different relationships. So can you see, it's the repeat. It's just the repeat. New, because change. The soul is not satisfied. If I leave this body, desires are there. I need to experience something differently. That is why I end up in another body. And throughout that experience also, something new, something new, something new. That desire for that something new is the cause of all this, and that desire happens in the mind. It's very unconscious, very unconscious, very unconscious, very difficult to catch this. But if you catch this, you've caught it. That is the first step of exiting the cosmic dramas. You are no more interested in all these games then. And then you see the games very easily and you are amused by it. You are not impressed. While the world is impressed by it, you are amused by it. Because from inside you know what it's all about. So there is a disinterest. There is no interest in it. You are busy in where you need to invest your time and space in the real journey, because that is the purpose of coming here. The purpose of coming here is not to get entangled in so many things and remain stuck in the doership, but it is to go beyond it. I have explained in many videos, even referring to great scriptures, because you should not feel that I am doing this talking. I have some vested interest. That's nothing. Look into the scripture, because I am studying it. I want to go deeper. I am studying it, and so many things are revealed. Upadesha Saram, where Lord Shiva is telling the rishis, stop the karma kanda, you are stuck in it. There is no liberation for you. Oh, but we are doing this to save humanity. We are doing all this homas to save humanity. They say, don't worry about all this stuff, because as long as the world exists, the drama is going to be there. Don't get entangled into the feeling that you are doing something to help it or bring it down, the consciousness. It is all designed to be that way. You don't like this play? It is affecting you in some way? Exit it. How? By stopping your births. How? By getting more and more aware of the whole cosmic drama. Then you lose interest in it. If you don't become aware, you will get stuck up into this belief of there is something to do here. So much to do here. There is so much to save. So many people to awaken. The consciousness of the whole planet. I am going to awaken. Why? Because let everyone live in peace. Will that ever happen? Can you tell me, dear one, of one episode in history of the earth where this has happened, where one day everybody has rested in peace, all hunger has been fulfilled, no natural disasters, no pain, no suffering, everybody is happy, no disease? Has this ever happened? It's not going to happen, my dear, because everybody is bound by the law of karmas, and this earth is a school where you come to experience both positive and negative. It is a dual world. Duality is always going to stay here on earth. Oh, then what are those planes of consciousness? We heard the earth is ascending to 5th dimension, 10th dimension, 12th. Those are all states of consciousness, not necessarily this drama that you see. This is never going to change. States of consciousness can change. You are not going to have a different earth where everything is very peaceful and paradise. There are realms there which are unaffected by negativity, like the Swargaloka or the heavens. Celestial realms are there, where if you have only high amount of good karmas and if you have dissolved all your negative karmas, you have access to those realms where you go, and we all have been there once upon a time or not. But what happens when you exhaust that good karma? That bliss, what we called as bliss and paradise, is also gone. Until you have your ATM of good karma only, you can exhaust it, and it is limited. This is the cosmic drama of the earth plane. Even hell is limited. Naraka. In Naraka also, in hell also, it is not a permanent place. After you experience that and you exhaust your karmas, you are again pushed back into the same cycle of again new karma, new death and birth cycle. When is this going to end? You can end it only in the non-dual state. Exit by becoming neutral. Not this, not that. Because if you have only positive also, you are going to go somewhere. If not earth, still to some higher plane. But limited. Going to come back again. Sumit Roy, now mindful business. Yeah, these are all words and businesses. Actually, that's the right word. Mindful business became very popular in the West. Mindfulness, it's called as mindfulness. It's a business again. All, what I'm trying to say, these are all concepts, old wines in new bottle. But if you observe very carefully, none of these practices, which I have keenly observed, take you to the root cause of the doership and eradicate that. Because the moment the doership is gone, the business is gone. All these things happen only when there is a mind. And why will anybody want to destroy and dissolve the mind? When the scriptures are telling that, when the Chidakasha Gita, when our great ancestors, our old rishis, the Guru Mandala, they have talked about, you have to dissolve the mind. Your purpose here is to dissolve the mind. Chidakasha talks only about that, dissolving the mind. How to dissolve the mind? By dissolving all attachment, all desires. Chidakasha Gita, Bhagavan Nityananda talks about reaching a state of desirelessness, no desires. But where, in which methods do we see this? Where the aim is to cut off desires or to eradicate desires. It's not there. Desire is again the mind game. It happens in the mind. And why then Chidakasha Gita is telling, dissolve the mind. Jnanis are mindless, he says. So forget mindless, it is mindful now. So these are all concepts, Western people took this concept. See, mindfulness is actually awareness only. Becoming mindful of it. It is like soulful, thoughtful. So they say mindful. It is not that mind is full. People talk wrong about it. No, they didn't mean that mind is full and empty. Thoughtful of you. How thoughtful of you? How soulful of you? How mindful of you? Mindful means aware. But again, there also in mindfulness I've seen, it doesn't go to the root cause of the ego, destroying the ego, dissolving the ego or the mind itself. It only watches things for benefiting something, for getting something. And who's the getter? The ego. So even in those practices, the ego is still enhanced there instead of being destroyed. That is what in one of the conversation here with Bhagavan, somebody was talking about a yogi who for thousands of years he was in deep samadhi. And he came out of samadhi after many thousand, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever that was. But he came out of samadhi after that many thousands of years. And people were talking about it. But Bhagavan just pointed out, what did the yogi attain? Because that yogi who took even thousands of years of samadhi, what is samadhi? Samadhi means mind is suspended. Mind doesn't work. Mind is not destroyed. Mind is suspended. Means mind still exists. What the yogi has done, through his tapabal or through a siddhi or through a process, he has entered into that zone where he can suspend the mind and remain in pure awareness. But the mind is not gone. Mind is where the karma is. That is why Bhagavan Ramana explained, what use is that kind of samadhi where when the yogi comes out of that samadhi, the first thing that he asks is a glass of water. Means the first thing when he comes out of samadhi, there is first a thought that comes to him, I need water. So he asks for water because the thought has to come for action. Till now there was no action because there was no thought. He has suspended his mind. But the moment he came out of samadhi, mind became active. Why? Because before entering samadhi, he had thoughts of, oh, I need to drink water. But then, he fell into samadhi. He didn't complete it. So that thought remained dangling in the mind. When the mind became active after he came out of samadhi, the first thing, the thought came because the mind came back. Mind was not dissolved yet. Are you seeing this? See how deep it is. These are very deep levels of understanding. We might get impressed with a yogi, thousands of years of samadhi. Because what is that? Benefit. It's a desire. Oh, I need to become like that yogi. Why? Because I can become samadhist for thousands of years. Why? Then there is someone to take pride in that. Oh, thousands of years. I have extended my life, physical body, till that time. That I is still there because the mind is still there. That is what these great mystics pointed out. That also is not liberation because the mind still exists. So I was astounded by the kind of depth with reflection, the path of reflection goes into. It does not spare anything. It does not settle with even the best of things happening. Wonders happening. Miracles happening. The aware mind is like, so what? So what? So what? The world is like, surprise. You don't know this thing happened. So what? That is what Ramana was. Somebody said, a yogi, 2,000, 3,000 years in samadhi. He has woken up. He said, so what? Can you see the difference of who is a true Jivan Mukta? That is why the mystics have always inspired me. Always I have been reading them very, very carefully, understanding them. And I am glad that people are now understanding about all this. The mystics, the world of mystics are coming out. The scriptures are coming out. There are people who are talking about it. There are experiences happening and the world is awakening to this new awareness that is going deep into liberation. People are not now satisfied with anything that the mind can play with. The people who come to Ramana, they are not happy with anything. You tell them about this, that, they are not very happy. Okay, they say, okay, so what? All their want is to abide with the self because they have realized the importance of that. They have seen and realized the secret of the whole play of consciousness. This is the secret of the whole play of consciousness. I'm glad that the world of mystics is alive. I'm going to have an open, somebody, I don't know if you know, there's a Gurukul system in India, ashrams, established by the mystic Rishi Prabhakarji. So Gurukul has invited me to speak and enhance them about the mystics. I'm so happy when I heard this. They wanted to have an online seminar with their entire team all over. And we are going to join soon in the next week. I was happy that people are now, spiritual seekers are looking up to the mystics who are moving in loincloths or naked, the avadutas who are running naked. Something is now attracting and the people are becoming more aware of their value. What is it that state? Until now people are scared. I don't want to become mad. I don't want to become naked. I don't want to become this. I don't want to become that. I would rather prefer a glamorous spiritual world than all these things. This is what? No standard, substandard. I need some standard, to suit my status. I need to have something. In society, utna baitna hota hai. I live in the society, so I have to, live up to my standard, my status. So I choose those kind of things in this world that match up to my status. If I choose a car, I don't want to put the brand name here. any car that is a very high brand and costing lakhs or crores, that equalizes me, justifies my status in the society. That is why I go for that car, because the standard is the same. A Rolex watch that is costing 5 lakhs, I have heard even 25 lakhs and all, crazy. 25 lakhs wristwatch, and you get a 50 rupees watch or even a 200 rupees, a good watch which can work for a good time. It will still show the time. Is the quality of time going to differ? Same way, we choose all our ideologies, all our statuses, because we want to be identified in the world. Like people say, I am into this kind of practice. I am into that, I am following this particular trend. Why? That's the heights of foolishness. We come into spirituality to kill the ego, and here we are boosting the ego. The same ego that is going to cause a lot of problems today or tomorrow. We might not understand it. Walk for a while. Walk for a while. You will understand the soul is never going to be contented. It will keep poking your conscience one day or the other. And the day you awaken, you will say, oh, what did I do all these years? Not that it's not needed, it is all needed. Salambh Yoga, these are. No one discards it. Lord Shiva doesn't say this is bad, or everything is needed. Everything is needed, because until you have ladders, you cannot climb to that state. You need to fall to rise. You need to have night to know the value of day. So you can't blame the night. It's a dual world. Both are going to be, Salambha, Nirlambh are going to be here. I am talking about that phase of transition, when you have reached that state of transition, when the Salambha starts dropping and Nirlambha starts developing. I am talking to those crowd, because only those crowd will be able to understand even what I am telling. The rest will bullshit it. Mind games. Mind will convince us. What crap is that? Just like the same mind convinces us, why do I need to follow an avdut? Why do I go to meet a dirty avdut who's sitting? Why do I have to take a spanking or all that? Why? I don't understand that. When I can sit in the AC and have a better experience, which I can at least acclaim in so many ways. It's all the mind that convinces us to do this. Because somewhere it finds disgust, somewhere it finds pride, somewhere it finds comfort, somewhere it finds inconvenience. Sitting here on this hill, probably mosquitoes and snakes running around and all that. What comfort is it? And in this hot sun, the temperature is too high, and the pains of traveling and moving around here, what kind of nonsense is that? Uncomfortable, inconvenient. But I am telling you, real life is in this. Because life is like this. Life is hidden. The secrets are hidden in the places where you would least expect it. The mind, the greedy mind, expects it in the comforts and glitters of the world. That is why Maya never gives anybody satisfaction. Mark my words. And that is when we learn that's enough of Salambh Yoga. Because one day or the other, we will realize this also has not given me permanent satisfaction. Soul will crave for that permanent satisfaction. Where is that what I am looking for? Where is that thing that I came to earth for? One day will come where everybody is giving you all kind of flavors and stuff. You look at it and be neutral. You will have neither greed and grab it, nor you will have repulsion or have aversion and push it away. You will just watch through it in neutrality. that is the time the real spiritual journey has begun. That is what I said. Real spirituality begins where the mind ends. Till then, it is hulala. And that is needed, because when we are too much in the gross world, suddenly you cannot come into your soul consciousness. It has to first deviate you from the worldly things into spiritual things. It will evolve you from the worldly glitters to spiritual glitters. It's a transition, so it's not wrong. Because it's the same desires. I was desiring for status, fame, position, name, identity, and convenience in the worldly things. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it in a relationship. I didn't get it in this job, in that career, in traveling here, there, in all the destination trips, everything I did, in money, in fame, power, health, I still didn't get it. So now the desires change into spirituality. They have this fall there, and that brings them into spirituality. So when they come into spirituality, the quality of substance has changed. From the gross it is moving towards the subtle, but the desires are the same, quality of the desires. Still needing fame, identity, position, power, needs, identity. It will seek now in the spiritual zone. Same things. So it will be attracted by all the same habits and same tendencies. You see, these are called vasanas, your sanskaras. Only the deviation changes, but the quality is the same. And then you attract all the things even in the spiritual world. You go through all that phase also. Till the soul tells you, still didn't get it. What is it? That is when you understand, oh, there the mind was in the gross mind, was fully involved. Here there is a mind, but it's a subtle mind, but there is a mind even in the spirituality. And then when you realize that mind was the culprit there and mind the culprit here, you will now begin the real journey of dissolving the mind. That will be the real spiritual step, the real inner path. Non-dual. Nirlambh Yoga will begin there. You will drop everything, all kind of supports. It might not happen eventually, overnight, but eventually, gradually it will happen. One by one the support keeps falling off. One by one. It will not go. That's how I've seen my life going through. Everything has fallen. Previously I was so attached to my master. I couldn't, without looking at him, I couldn't. Today it's not the condition. It's not that I'm not fond of my master or I'm disconnected. No. If I say physicality has gone and I'm disconnected, then I have not got the true catch, the true meaning. Then I am in some wrong path. The way I looked at it, that the support, the salamba which is there, that was the physicality, the grossness. Now the physicality has gone. The grossness has gone. Subtle dependency. It transitions into subtle dependency. Then Salambh Yoga begins on inner dependency through the image of the Guru or the consciousness of it. Still there is two. You need a connector to the connected. There are two still there. When eventually you understand all this is happening in the mind, and the moment you start making efforts in the start to dissolve the mind, you will see what Ramana said, it perfectly true, that the self, the Guru and the God are all the same. There is absolutely no difference in them. But it is all phase. And he rightly said, first the external Guru comes. The external Guru comes and then introduce you to your inner Guru. That is a separate, that is where the consciousness business begins. The thoughts begin in that manner. I am different consciousness. The Guru is different consciousness. I need to connect my consciousness. It is still there. Now, because the Guru has introduced you to my true self, the inner Guru. So you know the inner Guru is inside. There is still an image inside and all that. Salambh Yoga. But after that, a stage will come when everything is dissolved into that consciousness, where the self, the Guru the God, everything becomes just one. When that begins happening, the level of operation is different. The level of understanding life is different. The quality of life is different. The awareness, the consciousness is different. The perception is different. Everything is different. But people think you are different. That's true. Because you are no more associated with the grass. You no more deal with the grass. But can it be that you are separated? No way. Then you are nowhere there. You cannot be separated because there is no difference. So that oneness is established. And that has to go on till all the other aspects of the mind is dissolved. The day that is dissolved is what is claimed to be self-realization, the complete realization, and further, even more than self-realization, because self-realization is this moment when you realize that, okay, the self, the guru, the God, okay, these are all as one. The moment that realization comes, you have identified yourself, you have realized yourself. But there is work beyond that too, because you are still affected by karmas, even after that too. Prarabdha is still working on you. It will work till the prarabdha gets exhausted. The last quota of karma. The day it gets exhausted is moksha, complete dissolution. But the self-realized can move into a jivan mukta state, where even if the prarabdha is working on them, they are not affected by it, because they are now abiding in the self. That is the transition of the journey. This should be very clear to us. I didn't have this clarity. That is why I was confused most of my years. Today when I understand this clarity of this journey, how it begins from the gross, slowly moves deeper and deeper, and where it has to go and end, now there is clarity. And that is what I try to share in this video. So that my confusion should not be many people's confusion. It will help us in the journey, all, to understand. We will have clarity over where we are going. I said, no, 3 questions are important. Always in your mind. It should be in your consciousness. Who are you? Where have you come from? And where are you going? You know where you come from, at least theoretically. You know who you are, at least theoretically, philosophically. And you should now know, even theoretically or philosophically, where you are going. Converting that theory or that philosophy into experience is what is called spiritual practice. There is a big session on that. Maybe I'll read it out some other time. I just saw that section where he said from practice to experience. Because practice, and from beliefs and philosophy, from theory to practice and practice to experience, it has to move to that. Then only what we call as evolution happens. Otherwise there's nothing. So the striving should be there to put the philosophy into practice, and the practice should convert into experience, into realization. Hope this helps, dear ones, to you. Do leave your comments, do leave your views on whatever this is, because this is a very odd subject. Not everybody talks into this, not everybody is interested into this, but somehow I am all the time interested into only this, nothing else. So if you have been interested here, and if you have even been watching these kind of videos, or if you have stayed with this live, then you are that person who is in that transition phase, who's more inquiring deeper beyond what you just see and understand from outside. You are not convinced with it. You are someone who is searching truly to find your true existence and who you are. I wish you all the well, all the best. Yeah, thank you, Rosalind, for your continuous comments. They are good ones. They are good pointers. Thank you, Anita ji. Thank you, Hema Malini ji. Poonam ji, thank you. I know there are very rare people who can even acknowledge what I am saying. There are many people who get it, but I know there are many who are scared to even comment or like or share these kind of because they feel threatened to live in a society otherwise. They are still very deeply in the salamba, clinging on to something. So they will lose their identity if they catch on to these kind of truths. And they don't want to leave that grip. That's okay. That's all mind games. But I wanted to make you aware of that also. That also is a catch. Because eventually when you have let go of that catch only, you will get this courage. Courage comes from when you speak from your inner being. When the ego speaks, it's always to please others. I will only talk to you telling how nice you are, how kind you are, how beautiful you are. कितने अच्छे हो आप. Because I can flatter your ego, my ego is flattering your ego. So that we have a binding with the ego. So that you fall for me. You say, here is one guy who appreciates me, who loves me. No. Ego game. You have not realized it. Sit in reflection, you will understand all these things. Yeah, Poonam ji. No, that Gurukul session is only for them. The people who are in Gurukul. It's for the ashram. They want to. I'll just ask them if it can be shared. I don't know. It's an online seminar. So I'll just check out with the team there if they can share. If they can share, very well and good. I'll post it here. If not, then whatever I speak there, I have always spoken. I'll speak here also. Not a problem. Yeah, Abhishek. Happy to see you here. So I welcome you anytime to Tiruvannamalai. All the seekers of deep truth, I'm telling you, this is your place. This is the place you will certainly be able to reflect on all these truths. Surely. You can be in Ramanashram, you can be on this hill. These are the places that trigger, that kind of a state of mind and consciousness. Now, you might say, no, that kind of happens everywhere. That kind of consciousness boost. No, anywhere where there is a boost of consciousness, we say that, yeah, we have done it. We are going to do it. It's all ego game. There is no we and I and doer, do it and nothing. Here you just dissolve, you become nothing. And that nothing will give you the bliss of everything. Because that is where our true purpose lies. So I invite you, come here, take these simple books. You have seen Conscious Immortality is one book which I read for 4 or 5 continuous, 4 lives I did here every single month and 1 in Kanjangad. 5 live sessions I did with that one book. Plenty, 4 to 5 hours of content. So even if you take one book and if you actually sit contemplating on it, you can spend a great number of hours and it will open up all those inner wells, where you can quench your thirst from. Come here. Do come here. Whenever you get the time, come here. Feel that Arunachala only is calling you. Because I don't think even if Arunachala is calling out, we will be able to hear it. I hear it. That's why I come here. And so I'm sitting on this hill only and welcoming all of you. All the seekers of truth and liberation must come here. Must come here. And once you come here, you will come here repetitively. Because I told you the kind of evolution that I've seen, the jolt of that, catapult of that, where I was seeking what I wanted, it just threw me into that realm directly without any beating around the bush. So that was a jolt for me. And then I said I should convey this to all of you. Understanding level is not very clear, but for sure I feel they are reaching somewhere deep. Yeah, surely. It begins from the mind only, but the mind only will dissolve the mind. It will happen. The mind will begin to build up tools to dissolve itself. That needs courage, because the ego can never die. Everywhere when we always promote the ego, that we want to sustain and live forever and be there, be always there, that will never allow the ego to die. But when we come to the truth and realization that no, I want to dissolve, it should come from within. When the soul starts feeling that the ego boundaries, the the layers has to dissolve so that I realize myself. That is what Bhagavan Ramana said. There is nothing to attain self-realization. You are already the self. It is your ignorance. You are living in the mind. That is why you can't realize it. Give up the mind practices slowly and eventually, and you will see you are returning to the self. You are returning to what you are. You are only searching it in the wrong place, he says. So many important decisions towards spiritual growth in life have been possible because of the continuous guidance from you. Great. If that's helping you, I'm very happy. But then, as I told you, these videos are strictly only for the seekers of ultimate truth and liberation. Only these kind of reflections are going to liberate you, nothing else. So the choice is always ours, So, Meeta, I find it difficult to remain centered. Yes. See, the difference is, Meeta says here, I find it difficult to stay centered. Now what will all the practices say? Oh, you are finding it difficult? Let me tell you something to stay centered. So there is somebody who is giving the doer a boost, do more things to stay centered. To stay centered, you don't have to do anything. You have to give up the doing. See, it is so opposite. All the practices say, okay, you are not centered, let me give you a practice. Do this and see it will. It won't, because do means doer. Till the doer is there, till the ego is there, till the mind is there, that centered is not. What is centered? Centered means you are just talking about alignment. I am not able to be just aligned with my true self. The false I is not falling into alignment with the true self. That is what you mean center, coming into the center. When will that come? When the mind is given off, you automatically are centered. You are speaking from the center. I read in some post today saying that everything happens from the center of the universe and you are also the center. Because universe is infinite. The center is everywhere. So if I say you are the center, it's true. If I say I am the center, it's true. If I say this rock is the center, it's true. What is being centered? That is being centered. Being the center, coming to the core, coming to the source. When you come to the source, you automatically become the center. See? So for that, you will have to find, when you say I find it difficult to remain centered, you will have to go and reflect on who is that I? Who is the one who is finding it difficult? There is where the practice lies. That's the difference here. When you contemplate and find out who is the one who is getting affected and not being able to center, the day you are able to align with that, you will find the center. For that, there is some effort needed to get into effortlessness. So, all the true seekers of ultimate truth and liberation, if you have entered late into this zone, into this video, look from this. I have spoken about what is Salambh Yoga and Nirlambh Yoga. Again, advice is given by Lord Shiva himself, but only given to very mature, ripe seekers, because he has not advised Nirlambh Yoga to anybody. Because Salambh Yoga, who has given? He only has given. In the dual play, because tools has to be given to the dual person. Somebody who is living in the ego, you have to fructify the ego only and help them move into the egolessness state. Like I am talking, who is the one who is talking? This is the ego that is talking. Talking to whom? Another ego. Self can never talk to self. It is the ego talking to ego, but for a higher purpose. It is on a very high realization. Both the purposes are. So when you become aware of that purpose, the whole thing melts down and you understand the true meaning of it all. So with this, I take your leave. I think it's very late. Yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock. I'm going for my lunch now, and then I'll spend some time in Ramanashram. I have a personal session today, so with 2 people. So them also I'll complete it today. If in case you are watching it today, we'll have it at 7 p.m. Okay. And if anybody wants a personal session, if I'm here for another 2 or 3 days, from here if you want, it's great, because from here also I've seen it's tremendous. There are a couple of you who have already taken from here while I was here. It's something different. So those who want to can, and those who are already signing up, if you don't want it here some other days, then once I go back, I'll give you a date, or I'll give you a date now only, next week or after that. Whichever is convenient to you, we'll speak on that. So with lots of divine love and light to all of you, May we all evolve is my prayer on this holy Arunachala. Stay blessed.